Hi, and welcome to tonight's regular Wednesday evening webinar. Thank you for joining me. I hope you've all had a good week. Tonight, I'm going to do a little bit of a revision session. We're going to look at some beachy waves tonight. So if, I think I don't know about you, but certainly for me, my weddings have now started to come back in, and I'm also getting lots of bookings for next year. So I think now is a really good time to maybe go back to basics and make sure that you know all the different hair prep techniques, so that when we're kind of super busy next year, you're kind of ready to hit the ground running. Okay, so we're working with my blonde-haired head tonight, and as usual, if you have any questions or you're not sure about anything, it might be about tonight's style. It could also be about any of the bridal hairstyle or products or just hair up in general. Please just get in touch. Just put your question into the chat box, and my very helpful assistant just off camera will read out your questions to me, and I will do my best to answer. So thanks again for joining me if you've just joined in the last minute or so. We're working on beachy waves tonight, a little bit of hair prep. I'm working as usual with a mirror just off camera, because I find it really helps me when I'm creating these different beautiful hairstyles. So let's get started. We're also going to do, as well as the beachy waves, we're also going to have a look at, I'm going to do a little bit of a waterfall braid, and we'll also put a veil in tonight as well. So we've got quite a few different things to cover. We want to make sure that the veil is really secure, which isn't necessarily easy when you're going for very soft flowing hairstyles, but it is really important. Certainly at the moment, we're working with this kind of short level veil tonight because we're just working on a practice head. But I think you'll probably find a lot of your brides at the moment, it's very fashionable to have long cathedral length veils that kind of cover the whole of the back of the dress and go a little bit longer. So we have to make sure that our veils are really secure, even if the hair looks very soft and relaxed. Okay, so let's get started. So I've already done a few beachy waves in the hair already here, as you can see. And this blonde-haired head actually has got quite short hair. So I've clipped in quite a few extensions at the back here. And I've used, you might be able to see a little, one of the little ridges there of the extension. So I have to be very careful to make sure they're all covered up. So I haven't gone too high up with the extensions, but I've actually kind of mixed and blended the colors a little bit. So it kind of gives it a little bit of life and a little bit of movement. So she's actually quite short, but I put a lot of extensions here. They're real hair extensions, and these are from American Dream. They do beautiful extensions, but there are a lot of places you can buy extensions. I just happen to like the ones that I've got from American Dream, so I've got them in the head tonight. And basically what we're doing, let me just tell you a little bit about the products we've used actually. So I've used a couple of products in the hair. I've gone back to my trusty regular hold Elnet professional hairspray. So this isn't the regular Elnet that you get in kind of, the chemist or your supermarket. You'll probably need to get this one from a wholesaler's. So you definitely want to get the L'Oreal Professional Elnet hairspray, because the regular Elnet is a little bit wet. The spray it comes out a little bit too fast, I think, and it's too wet, so it can make the hair quite crispy. And we want a soft, kind of workable, beachy wave in the hair. The other one that I've used as well is Osis Flatliner, and this is a heat protector and a strong control spray. So you only need a little bit of this, or else the hair can go a little bit hard, but not as much. It's not quite as strong as the strong hold hairspray, but it's quite a good heat protection spray that's got a little bit of hole to it, okay? So I've tried either of both of those on the hair, and you won't know until you start working on your particular client which product might work best. If you need something with a little less hold, the L-Net is perfect. If you want something with a little bit of stronger hold, you could either use something like this Osis flatliner or even a setting lotion, okay? And the good thing, what I love about the Beachy Wave is you don't lose the length in the hair. If you do, and on another tutorial, we will do some corkscrew curls, but you might find when you work with corkscrew curls that the hair you lose a lot of the length of the hair because the hair has to go all the way around the curl and keep going round. So you might lose kind of 3 or 4 inches off the bottom of the hair. Whereas with these Beachy Waves, the hair is just kind of swaying a little bit from side to side so you can keep the length. So if your client is worried about losing the length of her hair, if she doesn't have any extensions, then these Beachy Waves are a great option. Okay, and don't worry if you're not sure which product to use. When I create these Beachy Waves, I always start at the nape of the neck. So you want to section all the hair away on the crown, the sides, sorry, on the front, the crown and the sides. Just section everything away and start working from the nape of the neck upwards. So you're going to create your Beachy Waves right down kind of underneath here, right at the nape of the neck first. So this is where, if you were doing a trial run, or even if it was a wedding day and you're doing somebody in the bridal party, this is where you can kind of practice. So if you're not sure, sometimes, if somebody's hair drops very quickly, you might create the wave and pin it in place and then take them all out later. But if their hair holds the curl too much, you might just let the hair kind of drop down because this isn't meant to be a particularly curly style. But basically test out your products, test out the how you're going to keep, whether you need to pin the curl up or hold it just in your hand a little bit. I'll show you that in a minute. Let's use a little bit of the hairspray for this one. So you can test at the back and see what that particular lady's hair needs. So a little bit more hairspray. You can be quite generous with the hairspray. If you do use hairspray, make sure before you start curling that you've spritzed through the hair first of all with a really good heat protector, because the last thing you want to do is kind of burn somebody's hair. So you always have to be careful. So we're going to twist the hair, and when we create our Beachy Waves, I'm using a Babyliss wand, but you could just as easily use a tong, but you won't need the clamp. And you just, as you wrap the hair around, you put a little twist in the hair. So there's a twist. You can just see my wrist moving as I gently twist the hair. And this way, this is how we get the Beachy Wave. Now I am going to go all the way to the end because the ends on this practice head, on these extensions, the ends are a little bit dry and fly away. So I'm going to curl it all the way to the ends. But if your lady had kind of a nice kind of blunt cut at the end and she didn't have any split ends, then it might look nice just if you leave it straight. It just gives a different look. So maybe check with your client first and see what she prefers, whether she wants it curled all the way to the ends or the ends a little bit straighter. I think if you leave the ends a bit straighter, it might leave it a little bit, it might look a bit more beachy. So you can just check with your finger, just let that heat come through a little bit. So we do have lots of tutorials on our e-learning platform. I think that's hot enough. Just going to hold that in my hand. So I could just pin this in place if I thought that the hair might drop a bit too quickly, or I could just hold it in my hand until it cools down. Or if your client's got really, she wants barely any wave, or maybe she's got naturally curly hair that holds very well, you can just let it go straight away, okay? But then just let it cool down in that slightly twisted shape, and we'll come back to that in a minute. So let's do the next one. So I'm going to just make sure use our product. So it's almost like it's the same technique. So I'm using the kind of, I like to call it a reverse wind with a twist. I know it kind of sounds a bit complicated, but basically instead of starting at the bottom of the hair and curling the hair up, we're going to reverse it and start up at the top of the hair and wrap the hair around the tongue or the wand. And we're going to put a little twist in there. Now, if we put a really tight twist and we did all the curls, all the waves in the same direction, we'd get that lovely vintage Hollywood wave. But for this style, we want to kind of mix it up a little bit. So we want the waves to go in all different directions, so it just kind of looks beachy and gorgeous. Okay. So if you're not sure, on this one, I'm going to try a little bit of the flat liner all the way to the ends, especially on this practice head, because as I say, this hair the extensions are a little bit dry. They could do with a bit of a trim, I think. They've been used a lot, so that's it, just brush that through. So this is a heat protector and a kind of, has a bit of a setting ability to it as well. And I'm also going to include in these, you could always curl these separate, the little short bits if you wanted to. In fact, I might do that one separately in a minute. So now to remember which way, this one I think I did this way. So the other one I'm going to do the opposite way. At least I hope I did it that way. You want to try, I'm too busy talking. So there's the twist. I need to be concentrating on which way I'm twisting the hair, so we make sure the curls lie in different directions. So if you've just joined me, tonight we are working on beachy waves, and we're going to create a lovely, soft, half up, half down style with lovely, soft, relaxed, beachy waves. And the practice head I'm using, she's actually got short hair, but I have added some extensions in there. So you just want to hold that, just maybe keep touching the hair every now and again, just so you can feel that heat coming through, and then you know you're ready to take that off. Now I think because these are quite small sections, I don't need to hold it in position to cool down. If you use slightly bigger sections, you might find that you get a kind of softer, flatter wave. So again, a little bit like this one underneath here. So again, play around with the different kind of amounts of hair that you're going to use in the section. You can play around with that underneath here at the nape of the neck when you first start styling the hair, and work out what's going to look best. And then what you need to do with this wave, in order to get the beachy wave to its best, is you almost need to kind of pull the twist out of the hair. Now, if she's got quite dry hair here, you could put a little bit of, I'm using my Frizzy's Secret Agent. So you could pop a little bit of that just onto your fingers and smooth that through the hair if you feel it's going a little bit frizzy. You know, that's it. And then you can spread it out a little bit, because you kind of want to take a little bit of the wave out of the hair, smooth down any flyaways, and usually leave that till it's cooled a little bit. That's it. We get a beautiful beachy wave. So again, I'm working off with the mirror here, just off camera. And don't forget, if you're enjoying the tutorials, please remember to like and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the notification bell, because then you'll find out when our next live tutorial is. So now this has cooled down a little bit. I can just work my fingers through there, separate that out a little bit, put a little bit of product on, and we have our beautiful kind of beachy waves. Now we do, if you've joined us late or you're not quite sure exactly what I've done with the twisting technique, all these tutorials are available online. We have our online hair course, which covers blow drying, hair up, lots of hair prep. And actually we have been doing the online bridal hair course for about the last 5 or 6 years. So it's kind of, it's not a new thing. We haven't kind of done it as a kind of last minute kind of panic because of COVID. Of course, it's really helped because in COVID, it's not going to be so easy to go out and join a course. But as I say, we have been doing this training course. The online training has been available for about the last 5 or 6 years, at least, I think. So we have a lot of tutorials on there, and we update them regularly. They had a little bit of break at the beginning of lockdown, which here in London, here in the UK, was the end of March. So we couldn't upload any new videos straight away. Certainly uploading lots of new videos now, and we upload them every kind of couple of weeks. So I'm just working with these little bits, and we've got our gorgeous beachy wave style. Let me just show you the front here. What I've done is I've done I kept a section here and I've curled it, and it's in a little twist, and I've just pinned it into this curl so it cools down. And basically what I'm going to do with this is just take that out, and I'm just going to work with this curl. Let me turn this lady around. Are we still on set okay there? Yeah. So let's turn this lady around. I can still see in the mirror. So I've got a little twist here. So I'm going to do each side a little bit differently. Shall I move over to the left a touch? No? Okay. So what I'm going to do, I want to keep this height here that I've managed to get with the curl, and I want to work with this twist. Now you could separate that into little kind of different sections and have a little bit more down if you want to, but just kind of play around. And all the time, of course, when we're creating our styles, we want to, sorry, just to let me get the right pin, we want to make sure that all our kind of bobby pins, hair grips are all hidden. So here I'm just going to pop a little bobby pin just underneath the height here. That's it. So that stays in. And I'm going to work with this little curl, this twist, and kind of bring it back, leaving a few little bits down. Have a little play around, maybe twist the next bit. And you can work with the curl, so it almost kind of makes a little twist coming back in the hair. And on the other side, as I say, I might pin that one back because it looks a little bit random. So I'm going to use these little tiny mini bobby pins here because they're great for securing small bits of hair. Secure that in place there underneath that twist. That's it. And then we'll keep going to the end of that little bit of hair there. That's better. Okay. Oops, let's just lift that up. That's better. Okay. Let's keep going. So we'll do a really pretty, relaxed, half up, half down style, because I think a lot of our styles over the last kind of couple of weeks have been updos. So I thought it might be nice to just do something really relaxed and gorgeous, because a lot of my brides are actually they're going for half up, half down styles for sure. So I think if she can have a little bit of height in it because it makes her look a bit more glamorous. And let's pin this and just work with the curl that you've created and pin the hair back. And then on the other side, this is the kind of thing that I would do if I was doing a trial run. So I might do on one side, I'll do kind of a little twist like this one. And on the other side, I might do a braid just to see what looks best. I might leave that down actually and recurl because I think it kind of looks. Let's have a little play. Oh, actually, it looks kind of nice twisted back as well. So have a little play with your styles and see what you like best. That bit can come down, I think. That's it. You could do some little twists here, and then we'll pop the veil in the back. So I know that I've had this week I've had a lot of enquiries and bookings for weddings later on this year and for next year. Now I can just see a little extension, just the edge of it's just visible here. So if your bride has clip-in extensions or if she's got bonded extensions, whatever you do, you just have to make sure that you work with the hair and make sure that all those extensions are covered at all times. That's it. Let's get that bit in and controlled. And I think next year we are going to be extra busy. So I'm already getting enquiries from new brides for next year. And of course, the majority of my brides from this year they've rearranged their weddings for next year. That's it. So we're going to be super busy. So just make sure that you are all organized. You've learnt your hair prep, your hairstyling. That's it, lovely. And if you're confident to work with different hair types, lovely. I might just put my wand back on again because I might just curl the front just here, just a little bit more, maybe. And now let's do, let me just move her around. Are we back still in the right position there? And let's do our little waterfall braid on this side. So I'm going to use, I think, these two bits here. I might bring those back. And let's just do a really simple twisted waterfall braid. So I'm going to use the waves that we've got here already to do this little waterfall braid. So we're going to cross over. Now you might find it easier. I find it easier to cross the front over the back, but you might find it easier to cross that way. But one way or the other, you'll find it comes more easily. So just practice first of all and don't give up. And then you're going to pick up. So do your little crossover first, pick up a section and drop it through. And then you're going to cross those sections again. Then you're going to pick up your next section and drop it through. It's not so easy because I'm kind of doing it from the side. And you're going to keep hold of the same two sections all the way back and cross those over again. That's it. But now I think I need to come back because look at that gap there. So be careful as you do this. So let's get our sections again. I'll do my little crossover, pick up a section. I might make it slightly smaller and drop that through and then do another crossover. Pick up another section of hair and drop it through and do another crossover. So keep hold of the same sections and then the section that you pick up, you just pick it up temporarily. You're going to pick it up, put it through, drop it down, and with these sections, put in a twist and bring them back. And that's your quick, easy waterfall braid. So you don't need to worry about kind of picking something up and dropping it and, picking the third section up and you can do that kind of waterfall braid. And we do have that online and it does look beautiful. But this is maybe a little bit easier once you get the knack. So you drop that section through. That's the one I picked up and I've dropped down again. Cross over my sections and just keep going. And cross over. Actually, I think that one's going in the wrong place. We need to do this one. That's it. So just keep an eye on your overall style as you create your pretty waterfall braid. And then you can see which she prefers. It will look a bit odd, I think, this one, because she's got a pretty waterfall braid on one side. Then on the other side, she's got our lovely twists. But for the purposes of the tutorial, that's it. I'm just going to keep going here. One more drop through and twist around. Let me turn her around so you can see. That's it. And I think I'll join that. And luckily those sections that I picked up at the beginning are just long enough to get me all the way around. And we'll join it to that lovely little twist that we've got here. Nearly pulled the hair out at the front then with my hand. That's it. And then if this was somebody's wedding day, let me just get the right pin. If this was somebody's wedding day, I might put a little sprinkling of texturizing powder just here, just to make sure that this bobby pin doesn't move at all. So I put the texturizing powder just underneath where my finger is, and then pop the bobby pin in, and it helps to hold it really well. If your lady's got really thick, long, heavy hair, you could put a little band on the end. But I do find sometimes when you put bands on the end of these little fine braids, they can be a bit too chunky. And it can be just as easy to use a little bit of texturizing powder. If you're worried, you could put a bit of texturizing powder, back comb it a little bit, put a bit more texturizing powder where you're going to put the bobby pin, and then grip it in, and that will hold everything in place. So then you can come back, see if you need to tweak, wave any of these little end bits again, or maybe just put a bit of product on them if they're ever so slightly fly away, and just finish your gorgeous beachy style. You could, if you wanted, I mean, this product is quite shiny. This practice head is quite shiny. With the hair looks lovely and glossy. I think with the hairspray and the flat liner, let me curl this a little bit more and leave it on a bit longer. Make sure this is actually on and hot. That's it. With the hairspray and both the hairspray and the Osis flat liner, it's given a lovely sheen to the hair. But if you feel you wanted a little bit shinier, you could put on some little spray, a bit of spray wax, and smooth that through each of the waves. Or you could use a little bit of the Frizzy's Secret Agent that I used earlier. That would also help to smooth any flyaways. Even your Silhouette Style and Care Lotion, that's another really good product. That's better. Or maybe if you want more of a textured finish, you could use a matte finish. You could use a little bit of dry shampoo or a little bit of texture spray, something like the Beach Club texture spray. You could spray that through the hair. I also find as well the dry shampoos and the texture sprays, if your hair has a tendency to drop very quickly, this will really help the hair to hold. So it kind of dries out the hair even more, and it looks fab. So if you want more of a matte finish, it's great to go for something like as I say, either a texture spray or a dry shampoo. Okay, so we've got our beautiful little beachy. Let me just see if I can turn around without turning the whole thing around. So we've got our lovely beachy style. On this side, we've got a lovely twist going back in the hair with a little bit of height here at the front to give it a little bit of fabulousness. And then on this side, we've gone for a little waterfall braid, just to see if it were a trial one, which she would prefer. She might have a bit of both. She could have the waterfall braid on both sides, or you could go for some twists. Or what would also be lovely would be some gorgeous kind of fishtail braids coming back. It would go really nicely, I think, with the beachy looking waves. So let's do our veil next. And if you've got any ideas as to what you would like to learn next week, just drop me a line and let me know. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you'll find out about next week's tutorial. And remember, of course, you can learn all these techniques online with our online training course. We've got everything in detail, hours and hours and hours of fabulous tutorials. So let's get started with our veil. So the veil always goes, oh, and by the way, one other thing, with our online course, it's 50% off at the moment, so you've got nothing to lose. So with the veil, basically, sometimes your bride will won't be quite sure which way it goes, but the curve of the comb here always goes next to the curve of the head. So it'll never sit kind of that way with the curve coming away from the head. So it's really simple. If you're not sure which way it goes, just check the curve, the shape of the comb. And usually what I do, and it's usually a good photo opportunity for the photographer, because if the photographer's there, they usually like to capture the moments as the bride's getting ready, and the videographer. So usually I'll kind of get one of the bridesmaids involved, and I'll ask her to just hold the veil up so I can see what I'm doing. And you don't want to just push it in, because if you just push the veil in, then it can kind of, especially if you're working with somebody who's got a little bit of height here, it can just pull that down or just spoil the shape. So what you're going to use is your tail comb. And as you go into the veil, let me show you from this direction, I think it will show. So from this direction, take your tail comb and you're going to push it through the little gaps in the comb, okay? I'll show you now what I'm going to do. Find out where she wants the veil first of all. Does she want it to be quite high up? Does she want it to be a little bit lower, or just maybe on top of the crown? If it's a very long cathedral length veil, then I would suggest, especially with a style like this that's very soft and relaxed, if she has it here at the back and somebody steps on it, then it's not got much of an anchor, whatever you do. So it might, you could do it, but you probably have to get some back coming in here beforehand. But what I would suggest if she's got a long cathedral length veil is you give it a little bit of anchor, and it will stay in a lot better if it's a little bit higher up. So I usually work with a mirror. You're going to lift your veil up and out of the way so you can see what you're doing with the comb. And you, let me put this on this side so you can still see me. That's it. Make sure it's central, which I think this is, but I'm not. That's it, yeah. And you're going to put it a little bit further forward than you actually need it. And then using your comb, you go in and you pull the hair up. Let me turn it around and see if I can show you this way. If I do it here, we don't want it here, but I just want to be able to show you what I'm doing. So as I push the veil in, I kind of, let me see if I can do it here, pull the hair up the veil. So I'm kind of pushing the comb in and pulling the hair up like that. So it kind of works its way. You gently nudge the veil in as you pull the hair up through those prongs, and I just felt it going. And it might resist a little bit, but then all of a sudden it will go in, and that will be lovely and secure. I don't know if it's quite in the right place. It might be a little bit far down, but that's the veil in, but not quite finished. So let's see, is that quite right? Actually, that's not too bad, actually. It's quite a pretty place. You could have had it a little bit higher up. If she's having height on the crown, I would suggest you either go in front of the height or beneath the height, because right here on the crown, it will just flatten any height that you've put in, unless you've got loads and loads of back combing, but it would spoil the shape, because usually the height, I would say, is usually around here. So you'd either go in front of that height or below, okay? And you could do either if you're going for a back comb style, or if she's got height. As I say, you could put it lower down here. We just need to put a bit of back combing here. But now the veil is in, but it's not necessarily perfectly secure. So what you're going to do is you're going to go back in here, use a couple of your bobby pins, and either side of that comb, you could just pop a little bobby pin either side like that. Let me just tilt that back. That's it. And I'll do another one on the other side. So I usually do 2 bobby pins here, like that. And that will just help to hold everything in. So now we have one last thing, one last little tip that I'd like to show you before we finish, before we wrap up. She's got a little bit of ribbon here, this veil, so I need to hide that. Let's just tuck that in and away. You wouldn't normally get that unless, that's it, yeah. But sometimes what you get, and you won't necessarily get this on every veil, but you might be able to see a little bit of the comb here. And if somebody spent a lot of money on the veil, I'm not quite sure if you can see it here, just a little bit, and this one doesn't look too bad, but if you can see this kind of plastic comb and it doesn't look very nice, then usually if it's a trial run, just leave it. But if it's a wedding day, we need to make sure that this looks, everything looks beautiful. You don't want to spend kind of £600-700 on a veil, and then what you can actually see is this kind of little cheap plastic comb. So what you need to do here is, and I wouldn't do this on a trial day. If it's a trial day, don't even mention it. You could just say, oh, looks lovely. But on the wedding day, we're going to make a little hole in the veil. Tiny, but it is going to be a little hole. So I'm going to use these little fine pins here. On the wedding day, it's more important that everything looks fabulous. So as I say, I wouldn't do this on the trial day because you don't want to kind of worry you don't want to put even if it's a tiny hole and it's invisible, it's just another worry that she doesn't need. So basically what I'm going to do is with this is I'm going to get the pin, pop it through the veil close to the comb. I don't know if you can see it peeping out there. And then we're going to do this little up and over and pop that pin down behind the veil, behind the comb. Let me do another one. You might do 3 or 4 of these and you'll find it will just have the effect of so there's the pin gone through the veil, close to the scalp, very close to the comb. Do your little up and over. Now don't worry if you can't see this. I know it's not easy to see all this on the webinars, but we do have all this close up and in detail on the online training course. So here we go with the fine pin. Definitely don't use the strong pins for this job because you will make a hole in the veil. So it's gone, the pin's here, the pin's gone through the veil. I don't know if you can see that there. There's the pin just through there. Now don't come all the way up and try and do it up and over. You're literally just tipping the pin up and over and going behind the comb here. Then we get this really pretty shape from the top of the veil there. Comb isn't visible, everything looks gorgeous, and the veil is super secure. And you would just show your bridesmaids, usually if she's going for a long cathedral length veil, they will be taking that out probably after the ceremony and after her photographs. So it's probably better to show one of the bridesmaids exactly what you've done and how that veil has gone in. And of course, she's got a few little pins here. So if anything moves, which it shouldn't, once you've shown them how to put the veil in, it shouldn't move. We also have a video online showing how to take the veil out, which is super easy if you've put it in using the comb. So yeah, we've got our gorgeous little beachy wave style with our veil. So we could even maybe pop that bit over the front so she looks even more bridal. Let's have a turn her around and you can see from the front, but she needs to smile a bit. I think if it was a wedding day, she'd be a bit more smiley. And here we go, round to the side there. We've got our beautiful beachy waves with our waterfall braid on one side, our lovely twists on the other. And that's our hair prep, half up, half down style, and veil all done in one quick, easy, simple lesson. So I hope you've enjoyed. Don't forget to let me know, comment, like, subscribe, and let me know what style you'd like to learn next week. If you've got any questions, we'll put the information up on the products for you. But if you have any questions about anything bridal hair, please just let me know. And I look forward to hearing from you to see what your style requests are next week. And I look forward to seeing you a week today. Fingers crossed. Stay well and take care of yourselves. And I will see you soon. Thank you for joining me. Bye.